Uh, we um,
Lockdown number 5. Love your work, Dan. Thank you, healthcare workers, and fuck Murdoch. Not a bad way to start.
Brilliant way to start.
Now there's football. There is still football. We are.
And just on that, Dan. Sorry, Dan. Sam.
Yeah, not quite. Same bloke.
Whatever your name is. I want to start by saying, why are we playing up in Queensland? Fair enough, weird time. When still 4 other games are still being played in Victoria. Why did we get sent out?
I wasn't aware of this fact until right now. I feel like that's
Oh,
something you
really?
should have told me before we started hitting record. It's only.
Awkward.
Oh yeah, Marvel MCG.
Yeah, so
I think what our issue may be is that we're playing both the Sydney teams who are also already in Queensland. It's quite
in the next
possible.
2 games.
Yeah,
Oh, that's practical. Yeah, okay.
it's
I can
possible
deal
that
with
the other teams may have a more favourable fixture. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
It's just that I feel bad because I know not to go off topic straight away,
It's not like
but um, like we've done a lot of travelling this year.
we did, and we did it all so early in the year, and then we're going
Mm.
beauty. We don't really have to travel again.
And we were looking at our run home, thinking, "Oh, yeah, a few at Marvel Stadium, that'll be good.
But
we might win a few of them." But now, boom,
COVID
off
ball,
we go.
we just do what we're told. At least there's still football.
Yep. Sorry,
I know. I know. I feel you. I feel your pain.
feel me.
But there's still footy, and that's all that really matters. All right, teams. This may or may not be the second time we're recording this, because we've just found out Sam Durham is playing.
Oh yeah, Sammy, another Sammy. Could he be as cool as you, Sam?
No, Cal told me suggesting he's playing on the wing, so it seems like a direct replacement for Langford, which then leads probably to one more change in Dyson Heppel coming back in. Not sure what that looks like. I can't even remember who. Oh, Gleeson probably is the guy that gets
Probably, yeah. Well, the question there was around, and we were unknown about how long the hand injury, broken the finger, was it? How long the fix up on that would take, and they estimated it'd be right for this game, but maybe that's sort of like. Yeah.
My only thing there is his name is in. I assume they would only put him as an in if he was in fact in. Yeah. Unless they just want to give him until the last minute to see how it is. And given it's a Sunday game, probably not the worst idea.
12:30.
So we'll say Durham for Langford, possibly Heppel for Cutler or Gleeson.
Well, probably Gleeson. As we spoke about on the game, I don't know if Cutler deserves to be cut from that game because of that game.
Cutler?
Yeah, I got you. I didn't even realise I did that.
Punny.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
So that's our assumed changes. Durham definitely for Langford, and then Heppel maybe Gleeson. For North, Cunnington is out with some personal stuff, I believe. AFL website has managed, but it's a little bit more than that. And the extended bench for them: Tom Campbell, Lockie Young, Kyron Hayden, and Atu Bosanova. I didn't say it well last time. Atu. Attaboy, Atu. I don't want to do any disrespect, so we'll just leave it at Atu.
Yeah.
Big out, Cunnington, first of all.
Big out for them. Yeah.
Big out for them. They've been playing some good football against the Dogs and also beating West Coast over there, which despite West Coast's issues, it's still a big deal to go over to Perth and beat West Coast. When and we did it as a young club. That's huge. So they're in a bit of form, but losing Cunnington, their best midfielder, is a big out.
Yes, and they're probably best and most experienced player too. So I guess you could throw Zeeble in there, but he's just a really important part of their team.
Absolutely, and he's been pivotal in that team playing good football for the last at least 2 or 3 weeks. So that's big.
So interestingly, we only played them 2 months ago in round.
Not even. Yep.
Yeah.
23rd of May. It was. I don't know what round that was. So it's about 7 weeks ago. 72-point win. Fairly comfortable. We won't go too much into the stats of that game.
Why not? Well, shouldn't we look at the stats? People want to hear the stats, Sam. You should give us some stats.
Context, he told me off in the last recording for going too much into stats from the last time we played them. The last time we played them, it was in fact round 9, I believe. Nope, that's Fremantle. Maybe it was round 8. No, round 10? Bit of a lottery? Yes, round 10.
Enough.
Round 10, there we go. I was thereabouts. Standout for me, I'll keep it brief so he doesn't start on me again. The standout for me was the fact they had one more inside 50 than us. I think that's interesting. That they obviously won the ball enough out of the middle to go inside 50 the same number of times we did. We had 31 scoring shots to 19, so clearly we were far more efficient going inside 50. That has changed a little bit now. Our forward line is probably our biggest question mark, which puts a bit of a question mark.
But on the flip side of that, our ability to get inside 50 is probably improved.
Well, our ability to get the ball inside 50 hasn't gone down.
No.
It's just whether our scoring efficiency, which, we went at 66% inside 50s that game. They went at 35. So that's really poor on their behalf.
Yeah, but I guess what I was trying to say too was that I think that I would say that we're getting the ball against good teams, like we've played Melbourne and Geelong. We were still getting the ball inside 50 a lot. We just were not, you could argue, not getting it in well, or it was coming out too quickly. Yeah, effectively. Yeah, so...
And that is another then eyebrow raiser in the fact that they had more than us, even just by one. The fact that we've been able to get more ball inside 50 than Geelong, possibly Melbourne, but North had more inside 50s. That's interesting. From an individual front, for us,
played well, Sam.
In the last game, thank you. Darcy Parish, 144 fantasy, 36 disposals, 11 clearances, absolute goat.
Goat's big call, but yeah, okay.
For us this year, in the context of 2021 at Essendon Football
Club. Not what
Club,
the goat term
it's very niche.
But go on.
Very niche. Zach Barrett, 31 touches, and that's about it. 31 touches. Heppel off halfback, 26 touches. Peter Wright, 3 goals. Kyle Langford, a couple of goals. A bit of an out there for us. And Andrew McGrath had 31 touches and 5 clearances as well. So a few big outs for us there.
I missed the pitch.
They probably aren't as critical to us as Cunnington is for North. Speaking of North Melbourne, Aaron Hall, 29 touches. Ben Cunnington, 34 touches and a goal. Big out. Zeeble, 24 touches off half-back. Cunnington, Jai Simpkin, Taron Thomas had 5 clearances each, but Cunnington was the only one stand out for them with 9.
Yep.
And the other thing there is too, we get Stringer back. For comparing the 2 games, we didn't have Stringer that game, who's been in and amongst the midfield group.
They wouldn't have had, I assume, Luke McDonald too, who's back in their side, who's one of their senior players too. Not to the class of Cunnington, but a handy player.
No, he's not. And also on that note, Robbie Tarrant as well.
Robbie Tarrant, very handy centre half back.
Big guy, as I said last time. That's about it for the last game, I think. There's not a lot to be said. As you've correctly pointed out earlier, it's not really going to be overly reflective on this game. We're not playing the same football we were there. North are playing probably a lot better football than they were then. Could just be that West Coast are absolutely appalling and...
I think West Coast are absolutely appalling.
North had a good game. But respect the opponent.
Oh, yeah,
they've played some good football. They did play good football against Western Bulldogs when Dogs beat them by 100 and something points last time out. So credit where it's due. They're a young side like us. So we can't take them too lightly. On this game, I think our structure kind of naturally has become, of the podcast, to talk about some matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So... Our forward
line.
Okay. Feel like I was on a roll there, but okay.
No, you're doing a lot of talking. I felt like I hadn't seen anything for a while. I wanted to get in on it, Sam.
Well, I've got to introduce subjects. We'll start with our forward line because that's our weakness
Achilles.
at the moment is the functionality of the forward line. So, as named, just as named, Peter Wright full forward, Cale Hooker centre half forward, Jake Stringer on the half forward flank, with Harry Jones on the pine.
Yep.
So you would assume we could probably get Jones, Wright, and Hooker in that forward line at the same time. At those times, you'd have to say Stringer is in the middle. Then, otherwise, we're probably a bit too tall. They do have 3 tall defenders in Tarrant, Mackay, and Walker.
3 quality tall defenders.
And I mean, the game I watched, I think it was the game against the Bulldogs. Robbie Tarrant was unreal.
Tarrant's been a good football player for a long time. Underrated, I reckon.
Yeah. So that probably stretches us a little bit. When we've talked about Hooker, he takes the one good defender. They probably do have at least 2 good defenders there.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So does he take McKay, or do they send McKay to Hooker, or do they send Tarrant?
You'd think.
I think
Mackay,
personally, I think Hooker's in trouble with either of them because both of them are pretty mobile, they're big guys, as you've pointed out. They're same height, probably easily similar weight, if not a bit heavier, stronger wise, and definitely more mobile, both of them.
Yeah, I'm guessing. You assume Mackay Tarrant go to Hooker, right? I think.
Because then that makes a really hard matchup for Jones. Like when he comes on he's going to have to be the really just mobile.
Well, then you've got Jones.
Josh Walker, I was going to say, is not a bad option either to run with someone like Jones.
He was the Josh Walker that played for Brisbane for a little bit there, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. He's more than capable defender. I think when you play in a lesser side, and even we're guilty of that sometimes. If we get good ball use inside 50, those defenders are going to struggle. And defenders will always struggle if you get easy ball inside your forward 50. If their mids put pressure on our mids and, the ball entry is not great, then we're going to struggle to score with the big guys.
I think that's the concern for me is the how our forward line functions with what looks like an underrated defense.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, Tarrant makes that a lot different to the last time we played them. I'm just going to check what we did last week in terms of inside 50s. I'm sure we would have talked about it in the review. 61-31. Jesus Christ, we smashed Adelaide.
And the scoring shots reflected that. There was the accuracy was the big deal. We had 18? We had 30 something scoring shots to 10 or 12 on it. So it's
29-11 scoring shots. So what was that? Sorry. So 61 inside 50s for 29 scoring shots. So inside, we're scoring 50 or 55% of the time we're going. That's still not great. I wouldn't have thought. I don't know if that's good compared to averages around the AFL, but if we compared that to when we've smashed them in round 10, I want to say, yes, I'm learning. We had 31 scoring shots from 50 inside 50s, which is 80. Sorry, that's not right. 66% efficiency. So it's a big drop off.
So it's an important stat though. It's an important part of this game though.
It is.
It is inside 50s and accuracy.
For the what we just talked about with those defenders against forward line that is struggling. It's going to be huge how we use the ball going inside, which is a nice little segue into our midfield.
How do we do it every time?
Yeah, I know. I'm learning. This is where I'm confident, and I think historically, as an Essendon supporter, our key position players have always been quite strong, and the midfield's been a bit weak. We're probably the exact opposite now. Our midfield is very strong. and key position forwards at the very least are a bit of a concern.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination of Merritt, Parrish, Stringer, that to me is a midfield that's going to win us this game. Just with the matchups against their mids, Jai Simpkin's been in good form, but they haven't got Cunnington and
Dumont and McDonald and the other guys like Stevenson and that on the wing. So they're gonna,
But it's that
Stevens
big...
had a great game too last week.
He did. So he's due.
Yeah, I get your point. Hopefully, this is one of those unusual games where we have the bigger, sort of more mature midfielders, and I'm not saying Merritt's this big body midfielder or Parrish, but they are certainly more. They're certainly more senior, I would have thought, than Simpkins and Dumont.
Yeah, definitely. Luke McDonald's a bigger body in there.
Yeah, Luke McDonald's.
Jai Simpkins probably what they would want Merritt, a bit quicker on the outside. Not having Cunnington, it's the same sort of thing I've harped on with Hooker. Just having them there, it's a bigger body, it's a bit of protection, whatever. Having Cunnington in that midfield is just a bit of protection for your Jai Simpkins and that of the world. Whereas, it just hurts when you're a young club, 18th on the ladder, to lose one of your. I mean, the argument their best player is Cunnington or Zeeble. So to lose one of your best two players.
So what we're sort of saying here is that we think that probably we should be able to take it in the midfield. Our forward line we're a little bit worried about at the moment. We think they've got a few pretty good tools that will worry our, let's say, out of form tools. So we go to the back line, and which probably
good
been
segue.
Which has probably been, except for the game against Geelong, I think that our back line's been really good.
Collectively, probably one of the more impressive things about our year.
Yep.
To get
especially when these six guys wouldn't have played, like Hines never played with Redmond and Stewart. Laverde and Stewart have never played in the back line for Essendon. I think Laverde played as a junior. And Dyson Heppel obviously has got the most experience down there with Ridley, who's only played like 35 games.
Yeah. I can't, I love it when guys can do that. It's a mental part of the game to go, righto. And Laverde is a prime example. I don't think it's harsh to say he was probably close to being delisted or traded.
We were talking about what his role in the team was, and we struggled.
He's gone from being a pretty average forward to he's not in question. His position in that back six, he's not
one of the first pick.
I don't know if he's one of the first pick.
He's one of those guys you just go bang, Laverde
he's
there, Ridley there.
There's no question mark over whether he's playing. Stewart, there's no question mark over whether he's playing.
It's not a matchup issue. You're going, we'll find a matchup. He can play on tools, he can play on small, he can play a lot of roles.
Yeah. And we've managed to get this back six without Francis and Zerk Thatcher. Because previously it was one or the other.
And I guess the other factor in that too is Hurley hasn't had any part in it.
Which, I mean, it's positive from a growth perspective, but obviously if we could have Hells there, that would be brilliant.
A bonus, wouldn't it be great to have that seniority?
But Hind has been able to do what Saad did, if not maybe a little bit better from a defensive aspect. Redmond's probably come on and given a bit more of an attacking sense, which has let Hind do a bit of both. And Heppel is just the cool head that, I mean, not we're heading that way, but what good teams seem to have in their back six is that senior cool head.
Experienced body down there that can just sort of,
calm it down, control the game,
rally the troops and do all that sort of stuff.
Luke Hodge at Brisbane. That's what you're looking
probably
at.
Not the level, but I agree.
Not the level, no, but that kind of player.
Role.
Hooley at Richmond.
Yep.
Sort of thing. Again, not the same level.
Fair point.
So let's now watch Nick Larkey kick 10, and we'll be sitting here on Sunday crying over our defenders. To that point, they don't have a lot of height in their forward line.
No, they're
or strength. Nick Larkey's tall.
He's
He's 2 meters, but he's not. He's young, so he's not going to have the strength of a Tom Hawkins, for instance. So that probably suits us. Tom Campbell's named as one of their extended bench. might see him come in just as a bit of extra height. Not that North have ever played to ruckman.
Well, they do. They have played Tom Campbell and Goldstein together. They have played them.
Not often, but they might need that height.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
But it depends on how they feel about that, where their matchups there. Like, but to me, I'm not worried about their forward line. Their forward line is not a threat.
no. But like I said earlier, if you allow a team to get clean ball out of the middle, any decent forward playing AFL football will excel.
Yeah, but I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. I'm just saying that's down. I don't want to sit here and be really what's the word? Like cocky, not cocky, but superior, because we're not.
No,
I don't think we're miles ahead of them.
No, but the fact of the matter is, they are bottom of the ladder with 4 wins. Would they be 3 or 4 wins?
I can keep talking. I'll check that.
Yep. And those wins have come against, well, West Coast was very good, but the rest haven't been anyone special. And we what we would like to think is playing for a position where we could, if we win this week and the other games go the right way, we could be in the 8th.
We will talk about that very soon as well.
So if that isn't a motivation for the players and for the club to go out there and beat a team that is below you, like a good team can do or should do, then that's kind of my mindset. Is that right? This is another one of those same games last week. Look, it was a crap game to watch, but we won by 10 goals. I will take that any day of the week.
Yes,
roll
absolutely.
that through. Take that any day. We'll beat the teams below us by 10 goals. Happy to roll.
Yeah. Just for clarity, North have won 3.5. So they've beaten Gold Coast, Hawthorn, and West Coast, and they drew with the Giants.
Yeah.
That draw against JWS, they probably should have won. But GWS are the most inconsistent side currently in the AFL, which is nice that
West Coast
we don't have that. Well, West Coast are just bad. Like every time I think GWS, or every time I write them off, all of a sudden they come out and win, and then the next week they lose to Gold Coast.
Yep, you're right.
No disrespect to Gold Coast.
Might be Richmond at the moment, maybe.
Possibly. So, I think what we're trying to get at here is that we're pretty confident that our matchups are good enough to win the game of football.
Yep.
Obviously, your players can have poor games. All that comes into it. Our midfielders should be better than their midfielders. Our backline should be better than their forward line. The real issue, and it's not just in this game, it's been for the last month or so, is how our forward line functions.
And the only hope there is that we just keep pounding that ball in enough times that we can outscore them through just attrition, that we just keep...
Well, that's the thing. We've got a bit of quality on the ground, so...
20 more inside 50s. Hopefully we kick a bit straighter and we'll win it by,
as forwards, you don't have to mark the football every time, but if you can bring it to ground and lock it in our forward line, I think we'll score. We can't let them have the easy intercept game, which is what we let Geelong do, and Melbourne to an extent. Why do we win? I think we've kind of covered this already, but are you happy that we win because we just use the ball well going inside 50?
Well, we win because of we win because of the obvious things, is that we kick it inside 50 enough times to outscore them.
We kick a higher score than the opposition.
We kick more points than them. We believe that our midfielders will win the contested ball and the centre clearances and get the ball inside 50, and that our defenders should beat their forwards. So
just a bit of class in the midfield is the major difference here.
Yep.
I won't ask you why we lose, because it'll be the exact opposite. The other thing we should touch on is some comments on the page just around Dylan Shield. He is at least a month away. The club send the performance updates during the week to members and anyone who they've given their email to. Basically, he's not quite at full training just yet, and will be building his workload over the next month, I think was the wording. So he probably is looking at around 21, 22, or even 23.
Which
And depending on the game, on the situation of our season, if we're not looking like playing finals, they probably just wrap him in cotton wool and say, go and get your full pre-season in.
And that's allowing for no setbacks. Like if he,
of course.
tweaks a little bit of something here and there, we won't see. So I wouldn't be planning. Personally, I wouldn't be planning for him to be back in the team.
Not planning for him to come back. But if we do somehow scrape into that finals position, I think it's important he gets games before finals.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a side to that.
But we're not talking finals, are we?
I will talk about that in a second, actually. McGrath's still 5 to 6 weeks away, so you again kind of assume that season. Dylan Shill is still there as 1 to 2 weeks, but I think that's a little bit more. Jai Caldwell's also 5 to 6 weeks, so you'd think they're done. Kyle Langford 2 to 3, so he should play again this year. That's disappointing. Langers was having a solid year.
Yeah, no, he was good.
Now on finals, I want to talk about it. I just want to talk about the scenario we find ourselves in, right? And the first thing I want to say is I don't expect this group to make finals. That is not where my expectations. My expectations at the start of the year where we were bottom 4.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we can have this conversation about finals right now is amazing.
Yep.
This round 18, 2021.
Yep.
We win our game of football. We can be as high as 7th at the end of the round. For that to occur, Port Adelaide need to beat St Kilda. Adelaide need to beat West Coast, right? So there's other results.
So results need to go our way.
Worst case, we can be 9th. Best case, we can be 7th. Obviously, if one of those works, we can be 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Losing, obviously, we go down. But if we lose to North, then the conversation about finals is probably not one we should be having anyway.
Yeah, that's right. We can have that conversation on Sunday.
I think we're in a unique position for this club, especially for the last few years, where there is no expectation for us to make finals. We've seen enough this year where we go,
agree.
Yep, righto, we're fine.
But it doesn't mean we don't want to keep winning because that's
that almost helps.
Yeah.
Because if we get to a final now, yes, the outside noise will be however many days and, 2004, whatever.
We won't win the final and they'll be like, oh, it's another 3,000. Blah, blah, blah.
Internally, Truck, if you're listening.
He always is, Sam. Always.
Yeah. The message will be nothing to lose. And that's a pretty bloody good way to play football.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If you ask me.
Maybe we should retitle this this chat Truck if you're listening.
I can dream,
I like the name.
We've had one player like Glory and Fame, or not as it was then, it was called Essendon FC News. And he now plays for Hawthorn. So he's good bloke. Hearts, if you're listening, love you.
Oh, he would be.
Yeah, he plays for Hawthorn. He'd be listening to an Essendon pod, I'm sure.
Of course he would.
All
right, so the big question, Sam.
Margin, who wins and how much?
Just the tip with Sam and Nath.
I think we need to not say just the tip.
That's my favourite part.
Can we make it about tipper rather than just the tip?
Yeah, just the tip.
Just the tipper?
Just the tipper?
Just the tipper?
Sam.
Yeah, okay. Dons, I think we've got enough to win this game of football. And 5 goals. I think they will put up a fight. I expect nothing less than them being in the contest, but I think we've got enough to sort of kick away a bit.
I'm going with 42 points. And Durham to kick 2 in his first game.
Oh, I hope he has a good game.
I do too.
It'll be just a nice
kid. I love anyone we get out of Richmond.
I mean, our entire coaching staff, yeah. Yeah, people talk about the Clarkson apprenticeship. It's now the Dimmer apprenticeship.
I actually heard that this Sam, the one playing for us,
Durham,
he is the reason that Richmond have gone so poor since he's left.
All right, he's the reason.
That's how good he was.
Not because of Dimmer's
no
off-field behaviour.
It was Sam Durham.
Okay, well, confirmed. I thought it was Blake Carousella.
No, it's just the last 5 or 6 weeks since mid-season draft. Boom, he's come to Essendon. and they've gone
And
to
they've gone to
rubbish.
shit. Yeah, fair enough.
True. True.
Okay. All right. Nothing else to
Uh,
add?
Nothing else except for go Bombers.
Go Dons. We'll talk all things review on Sunday night.
Look forward to it.
Toodles.